Your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. And we got a couple topics I want to run by you folks today. Now this is going to address both Trump and current President Joe Biden. Now, many of you may be aware that there was an immigrant from Venezuela not in the country legally, came here apparently in 2022, and now he has been arrested and charged with killing a nursing student, University of Georgia nursing student. And I think it seems pretty cut and dried on the fact that this guy came here illegally and now he has killed an American citizen. Now, this immigrant came by way of Venezuela, but what makes it particularly distressing is this is not the first time he was charged with a major crime. They had charged him in New York City. So the issue with New York is starting to come about is, are they being too soft on crime? Now, even though I lean left, let me make it clear to folks, I don't see how anyone in the country illegally or even legally trying to gain residency, no matter how you do it, seeking asylum, applying for a visa, whatever the case may be. During that time period, if you commit a felony, all bets should be off and you should be escorted out of the country immediately. So that's the first issue, is that how are so many of these folks, the ones that do get caught committing crimes, getting bail, getting released? Now, this individual here did receive a no bond outcome. The individual that's been charged with murder, kidnapping, they charged him with false imprisonment, concealment of a death. I mean, he killed her and tried to hide the body. So this is what's going. Guy was 26 years of age. What I'm asking is, do you see blood on Biden's hands? Do you blame the immigrant crisis where folks are coming in not being vetted on President Biden? Or is it outside of his control? Is it just something that can happen when folks come in the country? Or do you put Biden at the helm of this disaster? Now, we covered I believe about a half a dozen immigrants beating the hell out of some New York City cops about a month ago? So some of these folks are coming in this country and immediately getting involved in some major felonies. I'll give you my spiel on that in a minute. But what we're asking right now is, do you believe President Biden should be held accountable for this mess that's going on? Now, I know some folks may counter with the fact that they did try to put out a border bill, and it looks like at the behest of Trump, the Republicans shot the bill down. But make no mistake about it, that just happened. This individual came in the country in 2022. And the individuals that were beating the hell up out of the police, that also happened before the border bill. Do you put Biden at the front of accountability in regards to what's going on at the border? That is the first topic. We do have a side topic. I just want to run this. We talked about it over the weekend, but I do want to hear from you folks. Now, we're talking about shoes. We're talking about indictments and mugshots. Do you see where tennis shoes, indictments, and mugshots attract black people, attract black voters? I sell tennis shoes. I've been indicted. I got a mugshot. Do you see where that might attract black people to come and vote for a candidate? Because this is what Trump is alluding to. Folks who support Trump are suggesting that the fact that he now sells tennis shoes might draw younger black voters to him. That's all it takes, folks. That's all it takes. It's the shoes man, to quote Spike Lee. So those are the two topics we're going to be talking about today. Is the border felonies, these felonies being committed by folks coming across the border, is that Biden's responsibility? And do some of these mundane objects like tennis shoes, mugshots, and being indicted attract black voters. As always, the program is, shall forever remain MAGA friendly. You know how we run it. We run it in an uncensored format. So make no mistake about it, whether you're in the box or in the comment section. The fact that you may disagree with anyone in the comment section or even yours truly does not mean a damn thing. We're all about free speech here. We will certainly never censor, limit, or ban you in any fashion or form simply because you have a difference of opinion. Real quick, going to the box. We are homeless and haven't eaten in 2 days. Can anyone please help? That's not what we're here for, Chosen One's Emporium. Unfortunately, that's not what the program is ran for. Looking in the comments, I think it's an insult about those shoes. Lots of people like tennis shoes. Fair point. Obviously, African Americans are not the only ones that like tennis shoes. So that's how it suggests. That's how it is being suggested, though, that because he has tennis shoes, that is likely to attract more African American voters. I've never seen Trump so uncomfortable spewing his offensive comments at the BCE, says Leo, Black Conservative. What is it? Black Conservative Emporium. I forget what the E stands for. Going straight to the box. Product of Democracy. I love the name. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Product of Democracy. We're talking about a tale of two topics. Do you hold Biden accountable for what's going on when immigrants commit major felonies? Product, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, see, here's the thing is Mike Johnson was supposed to pass the border bill with Joe Biden, and he didn't do it. You know, he sat by Trump, and Trump did what Trump wanted him to do.
Okay.
And so for me to completely blame Biden, it would not be fair to him because, I mean, I don't know the other, things that he can do because, from my understanding is that he cannot shut down the border if he wanted to without Congress's approval. So I don't know exactly how that works.
Well, he right now, now that working with Congress has failed, he is suggesting that he may impose some executive actions to, at the very least, stop individuals from claiming asylum. Let's just be clear. When we suggest that Biden can only do so much, nobody on the right is going to challenge Biden for going above and beyond his powers to secure the border. You don't think, do you?
Are they gonna basically crucify him for doing it? I think they would try.
Yeah.
Because, they'll say, like right now they're trying to impeach him. So they're trying to find any old thing just to impeach him for anything just to get Donald Trump back into power so he can cover up all the cover-ups that he's covering up right now, and they're covering up as well, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of them for January 6th. Because that's what it's all about. They're trying to get back into power so that way he could pardon himself and he could pardon the rest of the Republican Party and the J6ers that are in prison right now.
He said cover up all the cover-ups. Now, a lot of supporters of Trump would suggest they never gave Trump a chance from day one. Are you suggesting that they never gave Biden a chance from day one either?
Yeah. Because, they're saying that, because of his lies, they didn't give him a chance, which is Trump supporters. Because, he lied about the election. And when he lied about the election, he's still lying about it right now. And they're still lying about it. I still hear conservatives right now talking about, that the election was still stolen. And it's like it's been proven that it was not stolen.
Yeah. I've read that as many as 60% of Republicans do believe that either Biden is not the true winner or that Trump won outright. That's still quite popular. Why do you think that is with so little concrete evidence to prove it?
Well, they keep spouting it out. They keep on, and that's the thing that they had a chance to go to court, and they still haven't even proven anything. But I think that if, once hopefully these court cases come through and he goes in front of the TV cameras and they hear, because he's trying to stop everything from the public seeing what's going on. He's trying to stop his supporters to see everything that is going on. So he's trying his hardest to actually avoid all these trials so that he doesn't have to go in front of the camera and talk about, what happened in 2020.
Yeah. Well, I don't deny there's some delay tactics at bay here, but let me ask you in regards to the second topic. What about the notion that shoes, mugshots, and indictments draw in black voters?
I'm not black, but like I actually empathize with the black voters that actually had to listen to that garbage, because that's like saying, like, for me, on his point, he's like saying, yeah, all the criminals are just like me, and all criminals that are black, they support me because I'm like pretending to be black or something. I don't know, but I just.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded a bit out there to me. I mean, I don't have any mugshots, or I've never been indicted, so I'm not likely to be sympathetic to a politician because as far as I'm concerned, you don't want a mugshot, don't break the law and things like that. I'm one of those just comply type individuals. So,
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't draw me in at all. I'm law and order.
No. I would have been pissed off. Like me, I still see it as like him calling, Mexicans and Mexicans, rapists and murderers and thieves and crooks and criminals. I see it in that same category.
Wow. Well, some folks are suggesting that the Mexicans are rapists and murderers comment. Some folks are suggesting that made them sound racist.
Yeah.
You agree?
Absolutely. And he is. Like, you can't deny the facts. Going back from when he wouldn't even rent to, there was this one heading that I found that he was evicted, cardiac arrest victim or something like that.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it was just recently that I seen it.
Well, but you don't think? Is it possible that was being done by his rental agency as opposed to him? He wasn't evicting all those people.
Yeah, but he's the one that makes the policies, though. He's the one that makes the rules of who can rent and who can't rent.
Fair point. Fair point.
He was the owner of the company.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Even if they make an awful decision, at the end of the day, it's your company, and if you're not firing folks, then it does look like you back up that decision. Product of democracy. I do have to move it on, though. Appreciate you coming in here, man.
No worries, thank you.
Absolutely. Looking in the comments real quick on YouTube, when we were talking about the election, and my last caller was suggesting that they're still suggesting the election was stolen, but it's not. Christy on YouTube, Christy Darrington, I think it says, the cases were never even heard, so no evidence was allowed. They were dismissed prior to hearing. That is true. That the Supreme Court, for instance, never entertained Trump's case that the election was stolen. Now, does that mean that something went wrong? Well, if we're going to suggest that any time a court refuses to listen to someone's case, that means something wrong is happening, then that's got to be everywhere. The courts turn down cases all the time. The Supreme Court turns down folks' claims all the time, and they leave the ruling with the appellate court. Now, President Trump may suggest that, well, look, I'm the president, so you should give me special treatment. Talk about two-tier justice system. Because I'm the president and I said it, you should automatically look into it. But at the end of the day, what the Supreme Court did was the way the law is set up. They can look at cases on the ruling, on the way they were ruled in the lower courts, and determine if maybe there's something there, maybe that person didn't get a fair shake, or maybe they see it differently. They examined Trump's case from the appellate court, and they decided it ain't even worth listening to. Now, I will tell you this. If there was not so many claims in regards to the stolen election coming from Trump that did lack credibility, we know the claim that Ruby Freeman was passing around USB drives like they were vials of crack. Shout out to Rudolph Giuliani. That's been proved to be patently false. So Are we suggesting the Supreme Court should have listened to that? The same thing with the Dominion voting machines. Look how that has turned out. So the Supreme Court looked at it, likely listened to Attorney General Barr, who was screaming from the heavens, this didn't happen. His own top cop screaming from the heavens, these claims are bullshit. Well, the Supreme Court heard that, and they decided not to listen to the case. Look it in the comments. Big Bert says, my boy killing that shirt. Thank you. February, 70 degrees in the Midwest, unheard of for my global warming deniers. Something's going on, so I decided to wear the shirt today in February of all days. Going back to the box, the border illegals crossing, committing major felonies. Now we got a woman that's been killed. Is this on Biden? Is her blood on Biden's hands? That's what we're talking about. Going to the box, Grizzly Adams. Good afternoon, Grizzly Adams. Welcome to the program. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Get your boy likes up to 20,000. 700 plus of you in there.
What's up, buddy?
Not much, Grizzly. Not much. Talking about illegal immigrants cutting in the cut.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. What do you put it on Biden?
With that one, we're gonna start down at the border.
Okay.
Yes, not only him, but every person that voted against having the wall finished and having all the problems of the wall going back up. These people wouldn't have flooded to the United States if they would have just done it legally. They would eventually be in the United States. So anybody coming across should be, someone should be responsible for their death, not just the person that did it, because, you know, whether she was raped, shot, mugged, stabbed, however, death is death.
Yeah.
But
she was bludgeoned. She was bludgeoned to death. Let me interrupt you real quick. I'll let you continue, but I'll tell you this in regards to coming legally. I would say probably 90% of the folks that are here or more would not qualify to come here legally. They just wouldn't. And most of them, when their asylum cases come up, they're going to fail to qualify in. So they're coming illegally because what you're suggesting, don't come illegal, come legally. That avenue doesn't exist for most of them.
I understand that, but you know, whether it was Republicans that denied building the wall or the Democrats, and we know where everybody is, you know, you can look up and see what people did. They should be held responsible for that, you know?
So now, obviously, you're holding it, you know, you're placing the accountability at the feet of Democrats and certainly Joe Biden. My last caller suggested that when you look at the Republican Speaker of the House coming up with a bill that had mostly Republican tenets in it and throwing it out simply because Trump said so, that shifts some of the blame to Republicans. What say you?
It's all the other things that was in that bill, which is also a problem. The different things that are in the bill that's attached to it. Oh, we'll do the wall if you do this, and this, and they put it into a bill.
What's in the bill that's so awful in your opinion?
It's what they decided was so awful.
But that's the point. That are those things so awful in the bill that we would rather leave our country's border as a mess the way it is right now? What's in the bill that's worse than the border right now that we will rather get rid of that bill and leave the border as is?
Given the taxpayer money to fund both sides of a war.
Both sides. Give me the war we're funding both sides of.
Well, the Israels and all that, it's just a mess, you know, and that has to, it just gets into a major educational series, going through biblical, going through how the IRS was formed, who is running it, why it's been run.
Yeah, but let me make sure I'm getting clarity. So what you're suggesting is giving money to both sides of that war, in your opinion, is so bad that you'd rather leave the border as is as opposed to doing it?
Not me. The wall should already been. The border should have been.
Okay, but we know that's not the case. We're talking about right now. I get it that you favor the wall should have been continued. They should have continued building a wall when Biden took office. But I'm saying right now, as we speak, you believe funding that war is so bad, you'd rather leave the border as is.
Well, it's hard to. It should be finished, period, because money was spent for it and all the material was there to do it. And Biden is the one that didn't finish putting it up because he is now our so-called leader.
Yeah, but you're going back to the wall. I'm not arguing with you on the wall. I get what your point is that they should have kept building the wall. But what I'm saying is right now, you have a chance to get a border bill that, for the most part, has most Republican tenets in it. It's mostly a Republican bill with the exception of maybe a couple things Democrats favor. You're saying funding that war is so bad, you'd rather scrap that bill and leave the border as is.
I think they should just sign the bill and do it because they're going to do it anyway, one way or another. I mean, it's politics.
Okay.
Just get our security up.
So the fact that the Republicans are not signing the bill, because that's the only signature we're waiting for. So the fact that they're not doing it, is it safe to say that it is the Republicans playing politics with the border right now?
They are.
Okay. So when they say the border's in dire straits and we really need to secure it, is that something they really want to do, or they're using it for a political pawn?
Well, absolutely. They all do it. They're trying to use their constituents, no matter if they're on the left or the right, to because some Democrats say, "Oh, we should have finished that damn wall," and other ones say, "No, we shouldn't." And why the hell do we got to put a wall up? And why do we got to spend money on that? And then it's just a piss and moan contest, and whoever gets the best reviews is gonna get the best votes.
Wow. So in other words, there's swamp creatures on both sides, and on the right, Trump is in the swamp right along with him because he's not telling the Republicans to quit playing politics with the border. Some would suggest he's leading the pack. So both sides features a ton of swamp creatures playing games with our border, perhaps our safety, to get political power.
Oh, they are. Oh, I'm a veteran. They definitely have played with our security of our country. They've done it for years.
All right, fair enough. I think you're pretty reasonable on this then. Fair enough. Now you do lean right. You're gonna support Trump, correct?
Yeah, I support Trump. I don't support all of his idiocy, but he's a businessman, not a politician. He's going to tell somebody, piss off or, go fly a kite.
Fair enough.
He's the one that's got the deal going on. You don't like my deal, move on,
Fair. So what do you think about the claim that his shoes, his mugshot, his indictments is something that resonates with blacks and they're going to vote for him because of those issues?
Hey, do the shoes look nice?
Hell no. I wouldn't wear those. This ain't dance fever. What do you mean?
Hang on. Hey, I'm a country boy, so my ass owns maybe, I got a tennis shoe that is made for hiking and backpacking. And the other one that I wore to church yesterday, which I don't normally do, they're kind of like the old kids, but they're not kids. They're supposedly a nicer.
Grizzly, you're telling me those shoes are a fashion statement. Let me just cut to the chase. You're telling me them are nice looking shoes?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying somebody's trying to make fashion shoes. It's what people wear. If they good shoes, people's gonna wear them. Because, I got a lot of, like I told you last time we talked, I got a lot of black friends. Ain't one of them motherfuckers ever dressed bad. They got style, man. They got color. They got grace. I mean, look at you. Look at that shirt you're wearing. I bet you it'd look good in a pair of that dark white tennis shoes with a little white with that blue color in your shirt with your jeans, you'd be looking good, dude.
I'm not putting it. Listen, I appreciate all the compliments. At the end of the day, you're not getting me to put them gold fucking shoes on. I gotta move it on though. Appreciate you coming through, Grizzly.
I ain't no, you don't need gold shoes on, buddy. You
Thank
don't
you.
need gold shoes.
Thank
but
you.
It's like me. I just think it's all bullshit with the shoes.
All right.
Yeah.
What?
I wouldn't wear them damn things either.
All right. Now we on the same page. I gotta move it on though, Grizzly. Thanks for coming through.
Yes. Later, handsome.
Hey, you too. Appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments. And folks, real quick, this is how we run the program. I have to give my spiel. Feel free if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of the host blocking or banning you. You know this is a free speech forum all day long. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn. You still will be entitled to speak in your entirety. If that's what you enjoy, civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, feel free to follow the program to my TikTok viewers and my YouTubers. Smash that like button. And if you want, subscribe. I would certainly appreciate that. Looking in the comments real quick before we move on. Trump said, if you don't wear gold sneakers, you ain't black. Oh my God, big nasty. Wear my shoes or you ain't black. Wow. Sadly, there will be a bunch of twits that will buy and wear those stupid things. Eddie Bush, I disagree partially. I don't deny that there will be folks purchasing Trump shoes. At the end of the day, if they turn out to be a damn investment like they're looking that way, hell, I wish I had bought a pair. In fact, when I saw them on television going for $300, it did go through my mind. This may become a political artifact that may someday be of value. But there is a difference between purchasing them for an investment as opposed to wearing them motherfuckers down the street. That ain't gonna happen. Not gonna wear them, but I would purchase them, put them in some type of airtight container and hope that they turn into a little bit of extra money that I can flip them in the future. But no, I wouldn't wear them. They're just not very nice looking shoes. I mean, how many, you put a big ass American flag on the back of your shoes? I will say this right off the bat. You go down a city block in America where you see folks with flags sticking out of you don't normally see that in black neighborhoods. Black folks have never adopted the American flag the same way a lot of whites have. Because, well, look at when the American flag was created. It wasn't necessarily very patriotic to black people. So putting a flag on your clothing is not something that African Americans tend to do. I mean, there's plenty of African-American designers, they don't normally put American flags on their shit. So that would be more like, what is the one with the grunge with the two rifles on the side? You see a lot of their clothing. I got some of their stuff. I can't think of the name of that outfit, but that's something that is unfortunately adopted by more whites than blacks. Blacks have not been very favorable to the American flag, which is why you got some folks taking a knee. Looking into the box, already at the comment section. I got mine on right now, says Tim Beers. No, you don't. No, you don't. But I wish I could see them. They are collectible as shit, dude, says ATF. I believe that. I do believe it. I mean, on eBay, somebody said they were going for as much as $9,000 a pair. Now, there's a tremendous amount of support for President Trump because of his legal troubles. So folks are not necessarily buying the shoes for what they are. They're buying the shoes to help out their leader. Meaning that once Trump is out of trouble, whether he becomes president again or fades off into the distance, the price of that shoe may drop. Because right now it's connected with holding, helping out Trump and getting him back in office. Once that goes away, the price of the shoe may drop with it. Going in the comments, real quick, the Blue Baron says more black people support Trump than Biden. That is patently false. Joey Bag of Donuts, I think that says, we'll keep it moving. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen on TikTok. Get your boy up to around 35,000, almost 800 of you in here. Trump doesn't own the shoes. No, but the shoes are made in China too, by the way. No, there's another entity that owns the shoes that is speaking in legalese that separates Trump from the shoes. but you got to read the fine print. That came out when the shoes came out. I'll give it a second for the box to come up. If you would wear Yeezys, you would wear Trumps, says Rob. That's partially true. Yeezys have a fair bit amount of fashion to them. If Trump's shoes were more fashionable, you might be right. I would probably suggest, though, that as long as the Trump name is attached to them, they're only going to go so far. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, folks in the African-American community are not big fans of Trump. Just like Kanye West, his shoes were big sellers in the African-American community. Once he started getting in trouble, his shoes are not big sellers anymore. No different than Taylor Swift, who was a platinum-selling country music star, was doing well in the conservative communities. Now that she's a liberal, she's not. So sometimes your politics can actually override your talent. The Dixie Chicks, remember them protesting the Iraq War? The conservatives canceled them. Remember, we don't like cancel culture on the right side of the aisle. Go ask the Dixie Chicks about that cancel culture shit. They certainly canceled the hell out of the Dixie Chicks. So your politics can sometimes override the talent or the product you are actually delivering. You are a king, says Christy Derringer. Wow. Thank you. Appreciate that. Don't you see the irony of saying blacks don't support Trump? There is no irony in saying blacks don't support Trump because I didn't say it. The suggestion was that more blacks support Trump than Biden. That's just flat out not true. There are blacks that support Trump. There were more blacks supporting Trump than any other Republican nominee or president in our lifetime. Romney, McCain, the Reagans, the Bushes. But overwhelmingly, Biden will win the black vote. It won't be 49-51 or any. Trump is barely going to probably get 15 to 20% of the black vote. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at the results from 2020 and 2016. Let's move the program on. Vertigo. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Trump knee pad hikes. I'm assuming you're suggesting yours truly. Vertigo. Good afternoon.
How's it going, my man?
It's going good. Good to have you on. We got immigrants coming in the country, murdering people now. We got a nursing student down in Georgia being murdered by an immigrant that was already arrested before in New York. He came from Venezuela. He is completely here illegally. Do you put that at the feet of President Biden?
Yes and no. I'll start with the no portion of it. No, in the sense that I believe every individual is responsible for their own actions. Just like, a January 6th. I wouldn't put that on the heels of Trump. Every individual there were responsible for their own actions. If they went into the Capitol, they destroyed any property, they're responsible for that action. Nobody else, the buck stops with them.
Let me ask you that real quick. Hang on, I'll let you continue. But when you said about January 6th and you don't hold Trump accountable, you hold the adults that actually committed the crimes accountable. How do you feel about Trump telling them the election was stolen only 2 days after the actual election itself? On January 6th, a lot of the investigations into the election was still going. There was no way in hell to know that soon that the election was stolen. Even if you hold the adults accountable for their own actions that day, how do you feel about Trump telling them the election was stolen?
So same way I say I don't really hold Biden accountable for the unaliving at the border. Sorry, I have to remember what you can say and can't say.
So wait a minute. So you're saying even though Trump was saying the election was stolen without any evidence of it, you don't hold him accountable for saying something that right now still looks to be false?
No, I can tell you to go rob a store. It doesn't mean that you have to go rob a store.
Well, I agree with that, but
decision.
I agree with that statement, but he wasn't telling them to rob a store. It would be like me coming in front of your house with a bullhorn, knowing that I got a hit radio show and tens of thousands of listeners, and yelling out that the man inside that house talking about you, Vertigo, is abusing children and taking their innocence sexually. Even though I don't come in your house, if other people, in effort to prevent you from harming more children, came in your house and tried to harm you, you would suggest that I have no accountability for lying about that.
I would say you're accountable for slander, but you're not accountable for the actions that they took.
Okay. So a civil suit, but I would be free to continue doing it according to you. You don't think I should be held accountable beyond slander?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair point. That's a little different.
That's actually
Go ahead.
the election being stolen is actually the reason I came up here, because we do know for a fact that it was stolen, just not in the way a lot of the people on the Republican side are putting it out, with, election, mishaps. I don't know if you could say the F word with election on this app. So,
well, let's take. I want to hear your spiel on how it was stolen, but before you get into that, if it didn't happen according to you in the way they are saying it happened, then why are they saying all of that stuff?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it was just a narrative, that Trump was mentioning, and then I think certain Republican-fueled, institutions, like certain news outlets and certain commentators.
So do you?
Were bringing up.
So all of these folks that are saying it happened in a way you're admitting it did not happen, and they're only doing this because of following others, do you remove credibility from them? Do they start to lose credibility for the fact that they're telling people things that even you admit is not true and is really angering folks?
Yeah, slightly. So I'm not saying that it didn't happen in that way, because
You just did.
Realistically, we don't know one way or the other.
But but Vertigo, you're saying realistically, we don't know one way or another. It's been 3 years, Vertigo. Why don't we know by now? If you got folks saying the Dominion voting machines were switching votes, or that Ruby Freeman was playing games with votes, or that there were dead people voting, it's been 3 years. Why don't we have the solid evidence by now?
That's a question for the judicial system. I can't answer that. That's well above my pay grade, and honestly, I believe that's just the way the system works.
Is it possible?
If they don't want something to come out, it won't come out.
But is it possible that maybe that evidence never existed?
Oh, it's absolutely possible.
Okay.
I'm just saying we don't know one way or the other.
Well, if I tell you I'm worth $1 million and I got 10 Ferraris at home, how long do you give me to produce before you say he's lying? I mean, you're saying we don't know one way or another. How many years are you willing to let go by before you say, if I don't see the proof, this is not true?
I don't think you owe it to me to prove it, so I wouldn't expect it, to be honest with you.
So you're saying the president tells you, but he doesn't owe it to...
Your specific analogy with the Ferraris and the millions of dollars.
Okay, but I'm saying...
Yeah, that I'm not owed anything from you, so I wouldn't...
Do you believe the president owes it to you to prove what he is saying?
Not necessarily. I think that's the position of the judicial system and the court system is supposed to be for. But my reason for saying we know for a fact that it was stolen is the fact that the FBI contacted social media companies and had them shelve the Hunter Biden story, which we know from the Twitter files they did, and from polls we know that 16% of Biden voters would not have voted for Biden, which would have swayed the election.
When did that happen? Where they shucked the social media story? I've heard that, but when did that happen?
That was, I believe it was from early 2020 onto the election. It may have even been like late 2019. I'm out right now, so I don't have my computer in front of me to double check the exact date. But we know from the Twitter files that this did happen, and it was from the FBI contacting the social media entities to shelve this, to where they blacklisted the New York Times.
Who was in charge? Who was in charge of the FBI during that period?
I don't know.
Who was? Well.
Anybody is too wrong for me.
Hang on. The president is in charge of the FBI. The president can appoint whoever heads the FBI, whether it's Comey, whoever heads the FBI. The president can appoint them and remove them. Who was in charge of the FBI during that time?
If I recall correctly, wasn't it Comey?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Who was Comey's boss during that time period?
Oh yeah, it was Trump. I'm not a pro-Trumper.
Okay.
I'm not a pro-Trumper at all. I'm actually farther right than Trump is in the actual aspect of it, not in the media soundbite version of what far right is. I'm a minarchist libertarian.
You are in.
It's about as far right.
You said an anarchist, so you want
no, not anarchist. I'm minarchist.
What is that?
So anarchist is about as far right as you can get, where it's no government. Minarchist just means very limited government.
Okay, so would that mean eradicating federal agencies like the ATF, the FBI, the CIA?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If someone comes in my home and robs me, maybe assaults my wife, maybe takes my life, and they flee to another state, without an FBI or a federal organization, how do you deliver justice once they leave the state?
Well, that's going to be up to you.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
You're dead? Oh shit! I don't even know if we're allowed to say that word on.
You can. Thank you, Moon316 for the shades. I'm asking if my life is taken and the assailant flees the state, how do you deliver justice?
Yeah, so different local. Just because we're governed under the state outside of violation of human and constitutional rights, doesn't mean that these entities that would be, the law enforcement of each local state would not be able to communicate with each other.
Okay, so let's take that example. Currently, right now, and by the way, that super chat real quick, Nam Barber says the Twitter files were a joke. They were hand-delivered files from Twitter in question. None of it, then it was proven that Trump did the same thing and didn't even know. Nam, rewrite that. I don't quite get what you're saying there. I do get the part about the Twitter files was a joke, but some of the grammar is lost there. But certainly thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that on YouTube. What I'm asking you, now my caller just dropped. I wanted to finish up with him, but I get callers like him. Listen, I personally believe that, because I understand folks on the right are in favor of small government. If government gets small enough, it does make it easier for criminals to get away with crimes. Now, he was suggesting even without the feds, you could have maybe agencies work with each other. Well, what if they don't want to work with each other? Then who steps in as an overseer? Good example. What if a mayor of a town is corrupt? Generally, that's handled by the feds. Right now, I'm from Illinois. Dalton, Illinois is a suburb of Illinois. We got a black female that is doing all kinds of corrupt shit. The feds are all over her. If you get rid of the feds and the governor, let's say the governor of Illinois got a lot of corruption. The governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich, who Trump pardoned while he was in office, if the governor's corrupt and you have no federal government, how do you get the guy out of office? if you shrink the size of government, you make it easier to commit crimes on states level. And understand, I'm African American. States' rights has never been good to African Americans. So I'm frightened at the level of reduced government he was mentioning. Going back to the box, or going to the comment section, why is no one blaming Abbott? He's the one who bust the criminals to New York. As someone on the left, I agree with that Biden is responsible for immigrants coming in this country. I'm going to say, in my humble belief, Biden is not doing what he can at the border. Now, we can talk about the border bill that they should have signed. But the problem, Biden could have imposed executive action like he's talking about now. He could have been done that. So I'm not absolving Biden of any blame. However, deliberately placing immigrants in Chicago, New York, and things like that without any concern of their welfare. Yeah, Governor Abbott also has accountability. Now, I'm not disagreeing with that either. Appreciate that comment there, Roderick. Continuing on, Minnesota fan. We're asking, do you hold President Biden accountable? Tap the screen. 50,000 likes is possible if you let your thumbs not be lazy. For you folks on YouTube, feel free to smash that like button, a subscription if you will. My YouTubers don't smash the like button as much. I don't know how to get you folks to participate, but certainly smash that like button. The box is acting up. As a Texan, I agree that Abbott needs to be held accountable. I gave a whole spiel in my last program of why even my Christianity upbringing, my upbringing in Christianity is shaken. If you can do what Governor Abbott is doing and still consider yourself a Christian saved going to heaven, I don't know if I want to go there. I mean, what he is doing is inhumane. I get the border needs to be secured. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm totally in favor of his drawing light to the fact that the border's a mess. But when you start doing inhumane shit, like sending immigrants north with no coats, no concern over their welfare, no food, I don't know if I want to be in the same crowd as that. And I know a lot of folks on the right don't seem to have a problem with that, which is why I'm like, if that's what Christians do, I'm a bit concerned about being a Christian. Hello, handsome. Big fan all the way from the United Kingdom. Can I ask you a question? Do you think Trump was a good president? The Blue Baron. Appreciate the, what is that, a euro? Thank you. Appreciate the euros. Right off the bat, my answer is on paper, yeah. On paper, Trump deserved a second term. When you talk to his detractors, liberals, Democrats, the complaints against Trump is generally not policy oriented. Nobody is complaining about $2 gas, less global affairs than we have now, low economy, decent job numbers. But the rhetoric orbiting around his president, I have a significant problem with. I believe leadership is not just about what you do, but also about what's coming out of your mouth. And I don't believe you are an effective leader if you are intentionally trying to piss off people and cause division. So on paper, yes, but I don't discount the things coming out of his mouth. I don't discount, get that son of a bitch off the field talking about Colin Kaepernick, or I don't discount that stuff. Bird brain is what he's calling Nikki Haley. None of that has anything to do with making America great. It's unnecessary, but I know my beloved MAGA likes it. So hopefully that answers the question. Trump wrecked our economy, but that's not true. I don't agree with that. Going back to the box, I don't know what happened with my last call. I'm having a little trouble with the box. We'll try it once again with MAGA mission. You guys are saying now, the idea that Trump wrecked the economy. If you want to suggest his handling of the coronavirus was so poor, it led to economic disaster, we can have that conversation. But Trump was inaugurated in January of 2017. Obama left him a great economy. We didn't start dealing with the coronavirus until very late in 2019. early 2020 even. So from the time Trump took office in January of 2017 to nearly 3 years later in 2020, January 2020, we had a good economy in this country. The economy was pretty damn good. And that's before the coronavirus really screwed things up. So I don't agree that Trump screwed the economy up unless you're going to suggest that his handling of COVID is what did it. And his handling of COVID was dismal. I will agree with that. MAGA Mission, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going, handsome?
It's going good. Appreciate you coming on. I like the name. So
thanks.
So the border produces an immigrant that is murdered an American citizen. What say you?
Well, you know, Trump predicted this would happen if we left the border open. He spoke about the drugs. He spoke about the trafficking. The biggest tragedy that we're experiencing is not just the drugs, but the child trafficking that's going on. It's quite horrendous what's happening. In fact, children are being used as a vehicle to bring people over, and then they'll send the child back, and then they'll repeat the process. The children are being drugged, and they're unresponsive.
Well, let me interrupt and just say, hold on.
Really suffering here.
Yeah, let me interrupt and just say this though. In regards to Trump predicted this, if you leave the border open, even if you secure the border, if you have normal traditional immigration where everybody comes here legally, some of them are going to commit some major felonies. I mean, there's no way to let people into the country and guarantee they're all going to be,
being complacent doesn't help it, right? So
No.
we have to actually do something to actually have a result. So
Okay.
by doing nothing, we're being complacent.
Fair enough.
So I'm not going to say there's no crime that's ever going to be committed by somebody coming from another point of origin. Of
True.
course not.
So how do you respond to folks, because you said doing nothing is not the right answer. How do you respond to folks that would suggest, well, now Biden worked with the Republicans and Trump convinced them to continue doing nothing? How do you respond to that?
Wait, excuse me, Trump convinced them to do nothing?
Yeah, in other words, the Republican Congress was working with the Democrats to come up with a border bill that, for the most part, was Republican friendly, and Trump, not wanting the border to be solved under the Biden administration, convinced the Republicans to scrap what they were in favor of.
Oh, okay, I'm following you. Well, first of all, we did talk about Biden has the power to do executive orders.
Okay.
Immediately, he could do something there, right? So
Okay.
we don't need to argue about the bill. He could actually sign something into action. And as far as what we're going to get out of this security bill, if there's actually going to be real security, are we going to like what type of wall are we talking about? Are we talking about an invisible fence, digital security, boots on the ground? I don't know the details of what they're proposing versus how much we're going to be spending in that bill for foreign conflicts. So if you
Well, let me respond to that. I'll respond to that flat out by saying even the Border Patrol Union, who are supporters of President Trump, has stated it's a good bill. So the people whose job it is to protect our border stated that this is a good bill and it needs to be signed. So I don't know what's going on at the border any more than maybe you do. They're there, and they stated this is a good bill and it needs to be signed.
Yeah, actually, I'm good friends with the people that organized the convoy, the trucker convoy that went down to Eagle Pass and the border recently. Kim Yeater and other people that organized that convoy event. But look, everybody knows there's a problem. Yes, we want to get something done. We desperately want to secure the border. Everybody does. I think that there's probably some details that are buried in that bill that is holding this up. And it could be maybe that there's just, we're spending so much money. We've already been spending so much money on Ukraine. Nobody wants to fund that war anymore. At least most Americans don't want to.
I gotta disagree with you, MAGA Mission.
No, there's people that believe we should, but
No, that's not. Yeah, but it's not from that standpoint. When I say I gotta disagree with you, other than MAGA, everybody agrees we should continue helping the Ukraine. When you had 9 Republicans running for president and they asked them all which one of you would stop sending money to the Ukraine, I think maybe Vivek, everybody else, from even Ron DeSantis, was a bit hesitant, but they all suggested they would continue supporting Ukraine. So for the most part, it is only MAGA that does not want to continue supporting the Ukraine, that are more favorable to Russia.
MAGA wants. I'm not going to speak as if I know what everybody that's on MAGA wants, but what I've heard from thousands of people, because I do spaces myself, is that we want to take care of Americans first. America first. We have a lot of problems here at home, and we're spending way too much money elsewhere when we could be fixing problems here at home. That's what MAGA wants. MAGA wants.
But I have to ask this question, because I have to ask this question, MAGA mission, because it comes up all the time. Why do folks keep saying we need to take care of folks here at home first? Where is the evidence that that ever happened? I mean, we only started helping the Ukrainians out 2 years ago. What were we doing for Americans before that happened that we've stopped doing now to send money overseas? I mean, were we taking care of the homeless or drug? I mean, what were we actually doing?
We've actually been doing military operations and training with our own National Guard from California and Ukraine since I think 2019, 2017. So we've been devoting a lot of time and effort over there training their soldiers, doing operations with them. And I believe that this was all preemptively done because we knew where this was going to eventually be going. I think that, and believe it or not, a lot of these things that happen have been going on for many, many years, and this is just the fruits of that, that effort.
Okay, fair enough, but I don't think you quite answered the question though. What I'm saying is, when in our lifetime have we been doing things to help out the American people that we're talking about? Quit sending money overseas. Who are we going to help out? Notice that they're saying stop sending money overseas and help out Americans, but they're not suggesting anything that they would actually do. So what is the definition of helping out Americans? What policies are...
Turn to the democratically run cities that aren't helping their citizens. Because most of the problems that are happening in the large cities like Chicago or other blue controlled states or large metropolitan areas, those cities are suffering because those leaders are not taking care of their constituents. So and then you look at the Black American voters, they right now are so ticked off at their programs and them being put on the back burner for illegal immigrants.
So let me make sure I'm getting this. Let me make sure I'm getting this clear. So okay, let me make sure I'm getting this clear. So what you're saying, let's say for instance we put Trump back in office and he stops sending money overseas to the Ukraine. He's going to then take that money that we're saving and flood it in liberal cities and help the people out?
Oh, you need to turn to the people that are the governors and the mayors of those Democratic-controlled cities. Trump cannot solve every state issue. It's up to the state to solve their issues.
I get that, but I'm trying to get clarity on what you're actually saying is going to happen. If we don't send the money overseas, you're saying it's going to go into liberal cities. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I do believe that some money would stay here in America towards not just job production, but also energy production and becoming economically sound and secure. Yes, I think that the money staying here would be the right thing to do. Now, are the Democrats going to do the right thing with the money? They haven't yet. To your point, we haven't seen anybody do anything right for the people in a long time. And I think President Trump truly wants to do that. Now, you look at the unemployment rate was the lowest in history for Black Americans. In fact, every racial group had the lowest unemployment rates with President Trump. But
that's not, well, first of all, the unemployment rate is even better with Biden. Some analysts are saying, I'm not going to debate you on that, but what I'm saying is that I don't hear Republicans saying what you're saying. All I hear is keep the money at home and do for Americans first. I'm not hearing what that actually involves. I hear you suggesting money's going to go to liberal cities. Okay. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, so we need to house our veterans that are homeless. We need to also work on our own homeless issues with American citizens first. We should not be housing illegal immigrants first or creating programs to help them. We should be helping our own American citizens first. There are tons and tons of people that are living in tents in San Francisco, and every major city now you see tent cities popping up, and it's atrocious. You look at San Francisco, it's not even the city it used to be, my friend. It's completely destroyed.
Okay, fair. And I don't disagree with you, but I have to ask that question. When Trump was in office and we were not sending money to the Ukraine, was there not homeless vets? Were there no homelessness in LA and San Francisco? I mean, the money was here. Russia had not attacked the Ukraine yet. So why were we not helping those people out?
Ask the Democratic leaders that were running those cities and states.
So,
People are
if I get your point, go ahead.
I think that the mayors and the governors and all of the people that are running those metropolitan areas and those cities and states need to be held to account for not taking care of their own constituents and their own citizens first. Yes, we have now created sanctuary cities where we allow criminals to do things and not get deported. We allow people to come here and we give them money, we give them funds when there are Black Americans that are suffering, there are veterans that are suffering. We know this, and this has been going on for a really long time. This border issue is not new, right?
I don't disagree with any of that, but here's where I'm confused. I asked you because you're suggesting that we need to stop helping foreign countries out and help the people in this country. You mentioned cities like Chicago and these liberal areas, but then when I asked you, why didn't Trump, while he was president, not help out folks in these cities when the money was still here? You went to where I blame it on the liberal mayors and liberal governors of these locations, which would lead back to what I said before. If Trump gets in office and all of a sudden we stop helping foreign entities, he can still say the same thing. The liberal mayors are why your cities are not messed up. I mean, we'll go right back to where we were. I don't see at the end of the day how we're going to help out Americans by bringing the money back. I'm still not hearing an answer to that.
Right. Here's the answer. Okay, local action has national impact. Everybody needs to fill precinct committeeman seats. Okay, the precinct committeemen decide who gets into office. They can actually write censures to get rhinos out of office. So there is corruption in this country, in our office, in our legislative branches. There is corruption, just like before Rome fell. They had internal corruption, and they also suffered mass migration.
I'm not hearing anything. MAGA mission. I'm not hearing.
I just gave you the answer. Citizens need to fill precinct committeeman seats and take back the government.
But that don't guarantee, even if the citizens do what you're suggesting, that doesn't make any guarantee that homeless or any of this stuff is going to end. I'm not hearing what's going to happen if we bring the money back from the Ukraine.
Oh, no, it does hold the people that are running that city or state accountable.
Okay.
It does.
All
the
right.
precinct committee seats have that power.
Okay. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I do got to move it on, but I'm not hearing that. I hear what you're suggesting.
Talk to my brother Christian Lamar in Arizona. He's doing it right now. He's signing up precinct committeeman seats. He's taking back Maricopa County, and he's doing it one precinct committeeman seat at a time.
All right,
and
fair
it's
enough.
Working.
Fair enough.
We will control the party again. We will correct these wrongs that the Republican Party is not doing their job. Any Republican that's not doing their job and actually serving their constituents will be removed.
Hopefully you're right. Appreciate you coming on. MAGA Mission, you're always welcome back. Moving the program on for my YouTubers, I certainly appreciate you folks tuning in as well. Feel free to smash that like button. We run a program in an uncensored format. So for you new folks on YouTube, understand we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. So you're going to hear opinions that you may find very favorable or you may find totally ignorant. The program is ran with free speech at the helm. It is and always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests, but it is a free speech program. Censored or not, that was painful, says user. I can't control what the guests state. But at the end of the day, I'm going to continue challenging anyone that suggests we need to bring money home as opposed to getting involved in foreign affairs overseas to tell me what's going to happen with that money. Just blanket statements of let's help out Americans, that don't mean a damn thing. We don't know what help is without a definition. It could mean helping out America could mean purchasing more aircraft carriers, building more fighter jets, building more prisons. Fact is, that don't help me out at all. I don't give a damn about that. So when you say help out Americans, my humble opinion, They should suggest what the help is. Unfortunately, and I'll go back to the box, we know the Republicans do not favor tuition loan forgiveness. You took out a loan, you should pay it back. We know folks on the right do not favor universal health care. Get a job. Your employer will give you health care. Obama got something through, but it was heavy resistance from the right. We know programs like food stamps, give you food stamps, you're just going to have more kids. If we give you additional time on unemployment insurance, you're just going to use that as an excuse not to go to work. So when you say that we should bring the money back and help out more Americans, give me the program you're in favor of that would help out Americans. I'm not hearing it. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm willing to concede the point. Maybe I am missing something. But I don't know any social program where folks who are saying that, bring the money home, will do more for America. Give me the program you're willing to favor that would help out the average working everyday American. Not cops, not the military, us regular everyday folks. Name a program that's going to help us out if the money comes home. I'm not hearing it. Going back to the box. School lunches says DH. A lot of folks on the right are not in favor of free school lunch. Going back to the box, Juan, I can't even pronounce all the rest of that, but good afternoon, Juan. Welcome to the program. We're talking about immigrants coming in this country illegally and murdering Americans. Is that Biden's fault? Juan, what say you? Juan, you're on the program. Can you hear me? Okay, Juan is there, but maybe he's away from the device. We'll keep it going. 12 states do not have health care. That's what and I don't know the 12 states that do not have health care, but my guess is they're not liberal states. They're probably not liberal states. I want to hear the programs that are going to help Americans out. That's all I'm asking. That's not too much to ask. Bring the money back. It'll help out Americans. Tell me how Americans are going to be helped. We got a lot of folks, and I'll go back to the box, that suggests the main reason we're having mass shootings in this country is mental health. Now, we know the liberals believe it's guns. They believe guns need to be reined in. Folks on the right think that's the dumbest thing they've ever heard of. I get it. But when you look at what's being done, you look in liberal areas, they believe killings are at the fault of guns, so they're passing these gun laws. A lot of folks on the right believe that's stupid, it doesn't work. But you do see what they're doing, whether it is effective or not. You see them trying to do that. The folks on the right suggest that the killings of these mass casualty events are because of mental health. Fine. It's not the gun, it's mental health. But when you look in right-wing areas, what is being done about mental health? Is there more mental health centers? Are they making it easier for folks to get mental health if they don't have insurance? If you're suggesting that this is what's causing people to lose their lives, show me where the effort is being made to tackle it. The liberals are making effort. You just think what they're doing is dumb. We get it. But show the effort if you think it's mental health. Once again, bring the money home. We're going to help Americans out. Show me where it is being. I don't want to yell like Cuba Gooding Jr., but show me the money. Going back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are tuned in and tapping the screen. Nearly 1,000 of you in here. Feel free to get your boy likes up to around 75,000. Having a little trouble with the box. We'll give it another try. Bob Paytner, I think it is, or what did I just hit? We're having a little bit of trouble today, so I don't know what's going on here. Joe Biden screwed up by stopping the child tax credit. I'm assuming a lot of parents would agree with that. Minnesota Finn, good afternoon.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been listening to your question.
Okay.
And I kind of feel like there are things about the whole border issue that never gets called out. there's not going to be a population. First of all, migration has happened for hundreds of years. You're never going to stop that. And the influx and downflux, it cannot be controlled by not any.
I don't know about this level though, Minnesota. I don't know at this level. There's more people coming now than ever before. This ain't normal.
No, it's more happening in the Western, but there's always been migration in the Eastern, and in human history, nobody can tell anybody to stay anywhere. You're not going to tell nobody to stay.
Wait, Minnesota. We talking about America. I don't want to go back to the 18. I don't want to go back to the 1800s or some other country.
Migration, and then if we want to say how much and where it was before 9/11, we didn't even have as much numbers on it because the flow of migration was so free, right? Now, since that happened, we've had a lot of things that's happened, but we're starting to track the numbers more. But I also don't think that you're going to ever be able to stop violence amongst people, whether it's a small amount or a large amount. We can take these micro places, or you can fall for the okie doke with the Chicago and the New York thing. Because, of course, he sent them to Chicago and New York for a reason. And, of course, they succeeded because people going to go, oh, my God, Chicago and New York. But I live also in a liberal state that's dealt with immigration for over 20 to 30 years. So from my perspective on it, I don't see this. I see them, they got dumped there without having the resources, so you're upset. But
Thank you
Texas
for that,
has had an infrastructure to deal with some sort and working with the federal government for several years to deal with it. It's the same reason why I get tired of hearing about freaking hurricanes every year in Florida. I'm in Minnesota. And
But wait, hold on. Hang on a minute. So, by the way, okay, hang on. By the way, C. Osby and fellow TikToker, yeehaw! Thank you for those hat and mustaches. Are you suggesting that under Biden, this is just another border cycle with immigration? You don't see any major issues? This is just what normally happens?
I don't. And I don't see it. And the reason why I can confidently, even if I was saying that I didn't think so, the Republicans has proved to me that they did. Because if they really wanted it, they'd be doing stuff with the border. That if it was really this crisis that they bring up every 3 years around election season, that they said they'd be doing everything they can, because this is an unheard of situation that we've never dealt with. It's the highest of emergencies. But that's not how they're dealing with it. So again, it confirms the fact that it's an okie doke and it's a press thing. And everybody who going, oh, well, New York wanted it. No, New York said the same thing that everybody else said. Okay, y'all have this regional issue that y'all have to deal with, like we have regional issues that we have to deal with. And y'all supposed to work with the federal government to handle it. Y'all handle it. But therefore, them doing that now does not make me go, oh my God, it's a problem. It go, oh, there was a good scheme out there to make people be more aware. That's it. It didn't mean that I don't. And like I said, I live in a city and a state that has dealt with the Somalian crisis. When 9/11 happened, we've had the people who 9/11 people connected to it, all of those type of things. But the world was not ending. We have people who are good people, and you're gonna have people who are bad people. And you deal with a group of people, you're gonna have that. It's no different.
But hold on, Minnesota, we're not even vetting these folks. I mean, folks are coming with criminal records. Like this last guy that killed this.
I don't vet everybody I walk out the door with now.
You think that's you think that wait, hold on. You think that's a good thing to let folks from foreign entities in this country with no vetting? You don't have a problem with that?
I don't know when I walk out my house, I live in an area that has so many people and just a melting pot of accents and things like that. I never know when I'm walking by a person who with an accent, whether they were born here, whether their family is second generation. That does not mean I'm automatically think I'm safe, because if I think they're American, that makes them better or make them more safe. I'm saying that whether or not they are illegal or whether or not they're a citizen of the United States, my safety, if I get harmed by a person who's an immigrant, don't make that wound even more worse.
I don't know. I hear your point. But I don't know if you quite answered the question. So in other words, it's okay to let unvetted people in here because at the end of the day, anybody can hurt you. Is that what you're saying?
We do. If we wanted more vetting, they would put more people as administrators out there. That's what they're trying to do. If they're trying to do that, that's one thing. But I don't even think you're going to be able to vet everybody. Everybody don't come here with a criminal history or bad background who do stuff. It might be their first murder that they do in the U.S. They're not going to be able to vet that.
How about removing the ability to walk in this country and claim asylum? That's what Trump is suggesting, that they're going to get rid of that policy.
Is asylum illegal?
No, it's not. But you know the hang on. You know the overwhelming majority of these folks that are claiming asylum are only coming here because they have no path to come here legally. They don't have a real asylum case. Simply saying, I don't make enough money in Honduras, I want to come where I can make more money in
They have to make a claim to be vetted to determine that, right? They don't know their chances until they get here.
We already know Minnesota that well over. Hold on, hang on a second.
Everybody going for a string of hope, and I think that you're right. They're using the laws the way that the laws are currently set up. They're coming here and saying, "Can you help me?" Now, whether they get denied, that's a whole other thing. But they're gonna try. They're gonna come to try. Period. That's all. That's like when we go down there and do things with we do things as American when we know we might not get it, but we gonna go ahead and try. People apply for food stamps all the time knowing they making $10 over that limit, but they gonna try to see if they can get through because they in need.
So at the end of the day,
it's not my fault to them for doing anything that any other human would do.
So because
it's kind of like we don't put ourselves in the space of being these are human beings and what they might be going through.
Right.
And the most people, and like you got a couple on here who love to be like they're vermin because they take away their humanity. It's a humanity issue. Right. So if you're putting yourself in that mindset, then you're going to think about that. I don't consider an immigrant more dangerous to me than I do these damn white nationalists that are born here and coming after me.
Damn. And I will say this. I will say this in the comments. A lot of what you're saying is, and even though you and I are disagreeing on some of this stuff, in the comments, DJ Elizabeth, for instance, states she's eating you up, handsome. So you resonate with a lot of folks in the crowd. They do agree with what you're saying, but at the end of the day, if let's say we have President Finn, you're promoted to president, you would still leave it where they could come and apply for asylum the way it is right now. You would not change the asylum process?
I didn't say I wouldn't change it.
I'm asking.
There needs to be things that, yes, I would. I mean, right now, I don't personally, but if I see that there's a problem with how it's being handled, then yes, I want to do things to improve it. I want to improve America. It's not like, I don't see that there's any issues that can be done. I just don't think it's the most important issue. There's a lot more issues that come up that are more important to me than the border from that standpoint. And whether or not I don't see them being more competition to me as any different than anybody else. I don't see that I don't even believe in the whole thought because I know the majority of my doctors now are immigrants. Yeah. So we're not even talking about them taking your small jobs that nobody else wants. I know intelligent immigrants. I'm not saying that it's like, So
I got two tough.
It's because I do talk to people who are not
I got two tough comments. I want you to tackle these. These are coming in from the comment section. They're certainly aimed at you. I'm not going to censor. You can state however you feel on this. But comment number one, Pharaoh Chaser says that you need to stop destabilizing our country, indicating that letting all these folks in is destabilizing the country. And here is a more stronger comment. I'm assuming you're not going to favor this, but on YouTube, Outlaw Josie Wells says you can't get through to a black woman. Now you're an African American woman, am I correct?
No, we just could see a fool from a mile away. We deal with them enough.
Bless your heart. Okay.
Everybody throws everything at a black woman. We get a little bit tougher. Our skin a little thicker and we're a little smarter. Get mad about that.
I'm hearing that the black women are going to vote for Trump. What say you?
No, I don't because I was talking to a friend today. I said, it's sad because people don't always have quick-witted parents anymore or wordsmiths. Because ain't no way in hell this man gonna tell me the reason why y'all voting with me is because y'all crooks too, and y'all like a crook, so we like a crook. Because that's basically all he said when he said, well, since I'm getting charged now, black people like me. Oh, we must be crooks who love crooks. Is that what you trying to say? I'm sorry. We ain't all crooks.
All right, Finn. All right, you done tore it up enough today.
I got one more thing I want to say. I've been waiting a couple of days to say it, handsome, and it kind of bothers me when you say it, so I want to correct you because I love listening.
Let me have it.
I kind of wish that you would stop saying that Hillary never had her day in court. Hillary had her day in court. Hillary had her day in court.
11 hours of testimony. 11 hours of is that what you're talking about?
Yep, the testimony. She had Comey give out his letter the same way that Barr gave out his letter. So if we're gonna say that Hillary didn't have her day in court, then Trump can still be dealing with Russia. So we're gonna be equal playing fields on that. So let's stop saying she didn't have her day in court. She was exonerated of doing anything wrong at that time. Your feelings don't have nothing to do with it. You can feel the way you want to. And old dude cracked me up earlier who said that he was the election was stolen because they did the Facebook and the social media. If that's the case, then Hillary got her election stolen by Comey. Can we just say that?
All right.
She dropped
the
same day. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that kind of, cut them up a little bit because they be tripping sometimes.
I'll concede. You did a good job today. You win. All right.
Anyway.
Appreciate it.
See you later. Have a good day.
Absolutely. You don't tore me up enough. All right, let me go back to the box. Biden said the hard R in Supreme Court. What is the hard R? Is it detard? What is the hard R? Oh, wait a minute. The N word with the hard. Listen. I'm going to say this. We're 9 months out from the election, and I will continue to go back to the box. I appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Normally, we hovering somewhere around 100,000 likes. Some of you guys have some lazy thumbs in here, but if this is the type of program you favor, feel free to show your boy some love on YouTube. Smash that like button. Feel free to give your boy a subscription if you favor free speech, uncensored free speech, because that's how we run the program. Program is always will be MAGA friendly. The N word with the hard ER. Let me make it clear. We're 9 months from the presidential election. A lot of folks on the right are saying Biden's a racist. Folks on the left is saying Trump is a racist. At the end of the day, when you ask the minority community themselves, Trump loses that debate. I'm not talking about policies. I'm not talking about $2 gas. I'm not talking about the lack of global conflicts. Those are things that favor Trump. I'm talking about when it comes to the racial debate. Overwhelmingly, there are more people who are going to favor Biden over Trump in that argument. Now, that's not to suggest that there are not minorities who see racial issues with President Biden. Maybe if he was running against Nikki Haley or Chris Christie or Vivek or something, that might be a stronger argument to make. But he's running against Trump. And there are too many counterpoints to be made, everything from renting apartments to the Central Park 5 to good people on both sides. There's a hell of a lot of explaining to do to defend Trump, to the point where good people, or better yet, where vote for me or you ain't black becomes a major issue. I don't think you're going to, that's an argument with minorities I don't think can be won at this point, unless Biden does something really, really bad. Fact is, now, at this point in time, 30 years after the crime bill, Biden is responsible for the first black vice president, first black female Supreme Court judge. I mean, his spokesperson is black. He got LGBT members on it. The notion that Biden is racist at this point doesn't match what you're seeing with your eyes. It just does not. I'm not saying the guy is not racist. I'm saying if he is, he sure is doing a hell of a lot of anti-racist shit. So I don't think that argument is going to win at this point. And also keep in mind, most of the folks suggesting that Biden is racist are not even black themselves. When you hear that Trump is, has racial issues, it's a lot of black people saying it. So that don't mean black people are not going to vote for Trump. There are some blacks that are going to vote for Trump because racism is not a major issue in their lives. But I'm just simply saying when it comes to those two, I don't think that argument in favor of Trump is going to happen. I just don't. Looking in the comments, you mean like not taking care of an American country that had a train wreck in it? You're talking about over in Palestine, Ohio? Look, we can talk about that. I understand. Those folks over there are very unhappy. I get it. Just like under Trump, they were unhappy about Puerto Rico. That does happen. Under George W. Bush, they were unhappy about Hurricane Katrina. I get your point. But that's not a racial conversation. Everybody under every president, there's going to be folks who think that not enough was done for their community, their issue, you name it. A lot of blacks don't think Obama went far enough. But in terms of the community seeing Trump as racist versus Biden, that argument is not going to be won in Trump's favor with minorities. And you'll see that come election time. He's not going to come anywhere near getting 50% of the black vote. May get, a few more black males, but black women, it ain't. I mean, how many black women do you see on social media favoring Trump? Mostly it's black men. I see a lot of black men, but women, like Candace Owen type, is very, very few. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are holding on and tapping the screen. And maybe I might be wrong. Election day is 9 months away. We'll see. But going back to the box, Bob Paytner, good afternoon. 1,100 of you folks in here. Get your boy on up to 95,000 on the likes. You guys can 1,100. We can make that happen. Certainly for my YouTubers, smash that like button. Real quick on the box. It's been acting flaky all day today, but we'll keep it moving until it comes up. I'm 36 and strong and proudly black. My emotions are out the way, and I see how Trump is better than Joe Biden. Says I can't see the name there. Train something. Shout out to you. There's legitimate reasons to vote for both of these individuals, even if you're black. There are legitimate reasons for black people to vote for Trump. I don't dispel that. As I stated, everybody ain't voting based on racism. Even if the country is racist in your opinion, maybe the economy is better. Maybe you're not dealing, listen, at my age, for instance, I'm not getting profiled by police anymore. I don't like seeing the shit on TV. They're not pulling over 50-year-old guys anymore. I'm outside of the realm of that. I'm not driving fancy cars with loud music. For folks like me, maybe that isn't a big issue. They see it on TV. It ain't me. He should have complied, whatever. So there are reasons blacks will also vote for the right, even if they think the left is adverse to some of their issues. This still can happen. So I get the point. The economy being one of them. I can't get the box to work for some reason, but we'll keep it going and keep trying with Q Finney. If we can bring him up. A handsome Miss Finn cooked you. Q Finney, you're on now. I see your comment telling me that Minnesota Finn whooped my ass. Appreciate you coming on.
Cooked you, bro. She cooked you.
I don't think so.
She embarrassed you, bro. I think so. She had you going, bro. You couldn't even answer some of that stuff. Look,
Well,
let's get right into it.
Hold on, hang on. I'm gonna let you talk, and I don't censor, but I will say this: me and her, our opinion on immigration differs. She tends to believe, look, we've always had border issues, folks migrate. I don't buy into that. So we disagree on that. But go ahead.
We have always had border issues, handsome. Everybody seems to forget this border issue is not new this year, last year, 10 years ago. It's always been a constant flow of people coming in and out of the borders. And please, can we get your callers? Next time somebody says something about this, and you should really tune into this. The southern border is not our only border. Y'all do realize that, right? All the Republicans are jumping, talking about, oh my God, it's the southern border. All these Mexicans coming in. All these Mexican people are coming in. Nobody's talking about the northern border of Canada. Nobody's talking about any of the people who are coming in on ships, planes, boats, none of that stuff. Nobody's talking about that because the first thing they say when you say border is, oh my God, I can't believe that we're letting so many Mexican people come in through the border.
Q, there's a reason why people are not talking about the northern border compared to the southern. Now, I understand some of it is racism, but at the end of the day, the sheer number of people coming in through the southern border is astronomical compared to what's at the northern border. That's why the southern border is getting more attention. It's a lot more people coming in.
I don't know about that, Hanson. I would really love to get a good number, aspect on.
You really think that?
Because I really don't think. I really do. I live in a sanctuary state. Nobody's talking about the number of Somalian people. I'm not saying that I have a problem with that. But nobody's talking about the number of Somalian people that are coming in to this sanctuary city through any of those borders. plane.
Your Q, your signal. I'm gonna try to give you a minute. Your signal.
You're right.
Okay, so what you're saying is just like Mexico, Canada is letting everybody float through its country to America's northern border.
No, what I'm saying is America itself sold everybody in America and all the rest of the countries a big dream when it started. A place where everybody can come to have a piece of the American pie. Why is it that now, all of a sudden, all of the Mexican people that are in Honduras and all these southern places, not saying any of them are wrong, but they're coming for the American slice of pie that they've been hearing so much about. In other countries, the reason that people hate us so much, one of the reasons that people hate us so much is because we look like we are totally wealthy and they want some of that wealth. Now, are they wrong for that? No, because everybody wants to prosper. Everybody wants to move up a little bit. You want to make more money, don't you? So what's wrong with them to do that?
So
granted, there are some bad people.
Okay, wait a minute. So President Q Finney, if you were president, you would leave the border as is?
No, I will make a lot of changes, but it wouldn't start with closing the border with some imaginary 6-foot tall wall. Because just the same as you can put that wall up, they can dig under. Just the same as you can put.
What would you do? What would you actually do? What would you do? What changes would you make?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I wouldn't have a
What?
answer to that right now.
How about having to claim asylum in your own country before you come here? How the hell you gonna say why is a Chinese person saying they need to come to America to claim asylum by going through Mexico? If what you were dealing with was so awful in China that you had to escape it, why didn't you stay in the first other country that you encountered? Why are you coming here? You would allow them to come here and claim asylum like they're doing now?
No, but I would allow them to have their day in court. See, the problem with the border starts with having more people to deal with it. That's the biggest problem. They don't have enough people, enough judges, enough Border Patrol people. They don't have enough people to deal with that problem. So probably the first thing I would probably do is strengthen that end of it. Get more judges and more boots on the ground. If you want to help America first, you actually need to do that, don't you?
No, I did.
I hear a lot of people on your show talking about, America first, America first. And I agree with what you were saying earlier. What did they do? Because before any of that stuff happened, before any of the controversy with Ukraine, before any of that stuff happened, they all had time to do something for America first.
Yeah.
It's been homeless people, veterans, and people on the street for the longest. This ain't nothing new.
All right. That part.
I don't want to send that money to the Ukraine because the Ukraine don't need that money. But what you gonna do with it? Because it's a lot of stuff going on here that ain't no. I mean, wait, kids, the no water situation in Flint. Flint been without water for how many years now? Without drinkable water for how many years now?
You and I, just like with my last caller, I do gotta move it on, but if you're not going to change the asylum law, in my opinion, I think it's a loser for another term in office. If Biden got up there and said what you said, hell, I don't know if I'd vote for him. You were my last caller. Your idea is that the border has always been an issue. I don't think that's a winning strategy. Folks want change.
Hey, I'm with them. I want change too, but the damn show don't start with Orange Jesus. I'll tell you that.
Okay. All right, we're getting somewhere. I got to move it on though, Q. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. And that's my my personal opinion. As you see, my last two callers disagree with it, but the asylum, the ability to claim asylum in America on American soil, that's probably the biggest change that needs to be made immediately, because that allows folks to come in and overwhelm the court systems. As he stated, in my last caller before him stated, yeah, they get a court date, but if 1 million folks come in, how far out is that court date going to be? Because it takes time to process all these people. So the goal becomes just flood the system. We'll get 3, 4, 6 months before a court date comes up. By that time, you could be missing, you could be married, you could be pregnant. It opens up the avenue. If you want to limit the issue at the border, the number one thing, in my opinion, is make it so they have to claim asylum from where they are, and the case has to be reviewed from where they are before they get permission to come into the country. I know that's not popular among liberals, but I guarantee that would drop the number of immigrants down significantly in terms of asylum seekers. Now, we can talk about the wall and other things like that, folks who are running for their lives to get in here, you know, the wall or some other type of mechanism to stop illegal entry. But the vast majority of these folks that are coming are not coming illegally. They're coming and claiming asylum. Get rid of the asylum method the way it exists to this day, and then you would have a lot more resources to deal with illegal folks that are entering illegally. You would have a lot more resources, but the asylum claimers are the ones that are drawing up all the resources. And I disagree with my last two callers and suggested that they would leave it that way. That's a loser for folks on the left, because there's a lot of folks on the left that thinks that needs to be changed. You can go through 3 or 4 countries before you get to the U.S. and claim asylum. Then you're not running from anything. You're running from the cartel in Nicaragua, and you went through 6 countries before you got here to tell us. Why didn't you ask any of them if you could stay? That doesn't look right. A lot of liberals feel that way. Let me go to the box, because if they don't change that, that could be the end of Biden's presidency just based on that alone. The idea that there's nothing wrong at the border or it's just going on is no, you got to change that mindset. Going back to the box, and I understand a lot of folks tend to think I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I invite those folks to come. Justice. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Tim nailed it. Okay, I got a person that agrees with me. Angle Fan Game. Is that who I thought that is? Yeah. We don't agree on shit. I appreciate it. One time we do agree. Thank you. Tap the screen, folks. 109. Now we see some numbers. Thank you for tapping the screen. My last caller is, the box seems to be really screwed up. I agree with that too, says Angie Smith. Thank you. And you got to stop the asylum claims. They're overwhelming the system. The illegal folks would not be laying all out in the street committing crimes like that because they want to stay under the radar. The folks that are here claiming asylum don't mind being out in the open because they're not here illegally. Mexico sold their land to Texas. What does that have to do with 2024? That's something that goes back in history. We told the refugees to come. I didn't see what that said. In regards to telling the refugees to come, by the way, I didn't see the rest of your comment moved up, but make sure they're actually refugees. That's the point we're making. If someone is seeking asylum for legitimate reasons, I'm not opposed to letting them in, but the way our system is set up now, there's a huge loophole for folks who have no legitimate asylum claim to come here and hope for the best by overwhelming the system. That's what's happening. And a lot of them will succeed because there's millions of them here. By the time their court case comes up, they'll have an American pregnant or maybe pregnant by an American. They may, have a child that's already been born in this country, which is American citizen by birth. There's a lot of things you can do once you're in the country to override the fact that you don't have a legitimate asylum claim. Or maybe just stay in the shadows for 3 or 4 years. That's what they're doing, is they're going around, or better yet, falling into a loophole in hopes that it works out for them. And it will work out for some of them. It absolutely was, just too many of them in there to get rid of. Continuing on, Exmo Joe. I'm not going to have a good time with the box today. I can see that. Folks are having a hard time coming up. And somebody says, been like that forever. Okay. Well, the American people are complaining about it now. Hell, slavery was like that forever. At some point, you got to fix it. Suggesting that the border has been like that forever is not a winning strategy in 2024 when there's so many citizens bitching about it. Exmo Joe, good afternoon.
Hey there, Handsome. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong? I'm getting hammered today.
Well, we're all all getting something wrong, right? I mean, nobody's perfect. If you got two people think exactly alike, you don't need one of them. That's what my dad always used to say.
So the border in itself, do you see Biden as responsible for what's happening right now?
No, Biden's just sustaining the status quo. It's always been a problem. But I do think that there are solutions, but I don't think either party is really committed to solving.
Give me the solutions.
Well, I think that the solution, I mean, look, you make X mode Joe emperor for a day. Here's the first thing I'm going to say is let's prioritize finding criminals and not people who are coming here to work and, seasonally and so forth. So you got to make sure that I would say to change the laws so that people can come in, get a tax ID number, work, identify who they are, get a credit score that's specific to them. Don't have to steal anybody's identity in order to get a job or to get a car or to get a house. But
Exmo, if they come in regards to Venezuela, they have no government in place. There's no way to do a background check on immigrants coming here from Venezuela.
Right. But I mean, if the answer to everybody is no, unless you've come in, quote unquote, the right way, then of course your system's going to be bogged down. We're never going to get enough judges, enough courts to actually sustain all of the traffic as long as our economy is improving. When America's economy improves, undocumented immigration goes up. It's always been that way. But then corporations don't let Democrats or Republicans solve it because that's where they count on the bulk of their labor to come from. Yeah. And that suppresses wages for people here living in this country. Plus, it creates this huge identity theft business. And so, I mean, look, it makes sense to say, look, if Venezuelans are the problem, then have everybody who's not Venezuelan identify and say, hey, I'm not Venezuelan. This is me. This is my real name. This is where I come from. There's my criminal history.
So let me present it to you this way. This is coming from YouTube. I had an individual, Nick Dominus says you disincentivize illegal immigration. That's what Trump did when there were repercussions for illegal behavior. It doesn't completely wipe it out, but it shrinks it. How about greater punishments for folks caught entering? Because Trump was talking about 5 years at one point. He was talking about 5 years in prison if you're caught entering illegally. Would you be in favor of more punitive measures for folks caught entering the country illegally?
No, I mean, look, if you want to talk about people being a drain on the public dole, I don't think putting them in prison is the solution. That's costing the taxpayer more money. If anything, I would say you need revenue generating punishments. Let them apply for amnesty and pay a fine. Get a slap on the wrist and say, I did a bad thing. I did it the wrong way. I admit that I did the wrong way. But I want to do it.
But how are you going to stop illegal immigration if you actually make the punishment what they really want? A job. If I go to America illegally based on your rules, they're going to punish me by giving me a job. Would that swell the problem up?
Look, I mean, that's a pretty nice punishment to wind up with, getting a job. But here's the thing: if I can get a job legally, because I'm not trying to get paid under the table because I haven't bought a stolen identity, then that means that I have rights that are tracked under the law. And if I have rights tracked under the law, then I'm going to get paid at least minimum wage. I'm going to get benefits. I'm going to get the same rights as other workers, which means that I'm not suppressing the wages and benefits of American citizens.
How could you believe that? If you let them come here and you give them, as you say, equal, pay that's commiserate to what you and I make, you ever heard of supply and demand? You're going to increase the supply of employees, which makes the demand for all of us drop. You flatten the market with labor. You don't see where that might not hurt our salaries?
I think the problem that we're having on both sides of the aisle here is that supply is happening regardless. That's the issue. If you have people don't just come to this country and then stay. Most of the undocumented immigration into this country is seasonal. They come in, they work, they send some money home, then they go back. They go back to wherever they came from, and then they come back and do it again. And so, I mean, look, and corporations rely on those people because many of them will work under the table for cash, and they won't apply for the same rights as Americans. I don't think you're going to stop it. because the corporations don't want to stop it.
Well, it's not the corporation, but listening to what you're suggesting, it sounds like you don't want to stop it. I mean, based on what you're saying, it sounds like you're like, as long as they're willing to come here and work, we should just let it, as long as it's good people willing to come here and work, we should just let them in.
I think most people would agree the biggest problems we have is people who are criminals or people who are smuggling, people who are engaging in trafficking of human beings. Those are the things most Americans really, really want to stop.
Okay.
That plus, we don't want a whole bunch of people living here undocumented so that they have to steal other people's identities in order to do the basic things in life. So, I mean, look, I'm not saying I got a solution that Republicans or Democrats will endorse, but you offered to make me emperor for a day, and that's what I would do.
All right. Fair enough. I've had 3 of you guys in a row now. I disagree, but I appreciate you coming on, Exmo. You know how we run the program. Anytime, my door's always open to you.
I appreciate it. I do want to say one thing. I'll make it quick.
Sure.
Well, I'm not a person. I'm not black, but when people of color speak, I listen because it's important in this country that voice gets heard.
Thank you.
And I've been hearing a lot of people lately on TikTok or otherwise, a lot of people of color in this country feel taken advantage of, and they feel like they get taken for granted. And any person is going to hate feeling taken for granted. I think the Democrats really are not aware of how much counterculture pushback is happening to the African American community. That a lot of African Americans are saying, it's not that I like Trump, it's not that I like Republicans or their politics. I'm just so sick and tired of people taking me for granted. And I think that's an appreciable sentiment that needs to be taken into account.
Fair enough. I will address that on the other side, but I appreciate you coming on. All right.
Nice to talk.
Now, what he was talking about, thank you folks for tapping the screen, over 100,000, certainly appreciate that. This is how we run the program, folks, uncensored. You don't have to worry about the host trying to block, ban, or limit your opinion in any way, fashion, or form. At the end of the day, the program is never about telling you what you should say. It's all about hearing what you have to say. That's how we run the program. Zero censorship. African Americans feeling like the Democratic Party is not paying attention or taking them for granted. My last caller just stated that. I 100% agree. There are certainly Democrats that do exactly that, because at the end of the day, a large portion of us automatically vote Democrat. Now, this is an area where the Republicans could cash in on this, because this is what I often ask Democrats who stated what my last caller did. Democrats are not even taking us seriously. Why should we vote Democrat? And I often ask them, when was the last time you had a Republican come to your area and talk to you? Come to your church and speak. Like Democrats come to the church during election time. Well, they only come during election time. Well, why don't the Republicans only come during election time? I mean, there are things Republicans could do as well. I mean, you think the Democrats are not listening to you? How do the Republicans feel when you suggest that the police are mistreating you, or you favor reparations, or some of the African-American issues, or you're talking about there's potholes in your neighborhood? What do the Republicans say to you? So this is something that African-Americans need to understand, that I am not here to pretend like the Democrats always listen to African-Americans. But if you're going to replace the Democrats who don't listen to you with Republicans, at the very least, make sure they're listening too. You can't have 2 people doing the same thing. Maybe you need to vote independent. Now what I just stated changes from voting market to voting market. Maybe in Alabama, the Republicans do address the black community. I don't know. But what I'm saying is I don't see many Trump rallies being held in Philadelphia, DC, Seattle. I don't see that. They're generally in smaller rural areas or smaller towns. So maybe the Democrats aren't doing enough for the black community. This is where you go Republican, but make sure they're doing it as well. Don't trade in one for the other and then have the same complaint. Looking in the comments, cancel all student debt, says Mako. If that is the issue you're concerned with, Just like I talk about the Second Amendment, you should vote Republican if student loan debt is you have no business voting Republican at all. The liberals are in favor of canceling at least some student loan debt. Biden has already done that. The Republicans are not going to give you any relief in that area whatsoever. So if that is your issue, what you're concerned with, you know where you should vote. That's why I always say there are legitimate reasons to vote Democrat, legitimate reasons to vote Republican. You name what your biggest issue is, and it's pretty easy to know where you should vote. Looking in the box, tap the screen, smash that like button for my YouTubers. Feel free to drop a subscription if uncensored content is what you favor. Yeah, make America make Crip again. I don't quite get that. If I snuck into somewhere that I really wanted to be and got my ass whipped for it, guess where I wouldn't be going back to? Just saying, Gen Xer, I agree with that. But do you want to beat the ass of immigrants that come here illegally? Yikes. But anyway, we are humans, brother, legal or illegal. I don't think most Americans feel that way. You think when that caravan was going down to the border, that was their mindset? We're brothers. Illegal? No. You ain't on my side. That caravan was not going to be friendly to you. Going back to the box, Robin. Hopefully it brings you up. Yeah, the cancel student debt, that ain't coming from the Republicans under any circumstance. They're not going to do that. Trump using the Republican Party, says Billy Ray. I'd like to know how. I don't think Trump is a genuine Republican, so maybe he's using them for the RNC funds because he's like Bernie Sanders, where Bernie Sanders was not a true Democrat, but you need access to the RNC or DNC funds. So maybe from that aspect. Now this country built on immigrants, we shouldn't stop them. E-bag. What are you guys suggesting? I'm not doing well with my liberal side of the aisle at all, and I do welcome. You guys are tearing me apart. But for my liberals that are, what are you guys suggesting? Just a country where anyone can come in? By way of yes or no, I'm gonna pose this question. Type yes or no in the comments because my box is acting up. I'll check it in a second, but yes or no in the comments. Here's the question. If someone comes to this country with no criminal history that you can find, they don't have a criminal history, and they want to come to America, do you believe that anyone without a criminal history should be allowed to come into this country? As long as they don't have a criminal history, they should be allowed to come in. Yes or no? I'd be curious to see that because that's what I'm starting to hear. I see a lot of folks saying, yeah, if you don't have a criminal history, the door should be open to you. There's some no, but there's a lot of yes. Okay. What about the customs and things? Okay, America's a very diverse country, but is it possible you could let so many folks in that the traditional way of America is completely lost? I see some folks saying, hell, there's a lot of yeses in there though. Wow, we can support everyone. I'm assuming Freddie Fryerson, who's saying we can support everyone. I'm assuming that you don't mind your taxes going through the roof. We can support everyone. Huh? Now, I'm no fan of phrases like poisoning the blood of America. That came from Trump. But if I wanted to interpret it, let's say I'm MAGA, and I want to interpret it and soften that phrase so it doesn't sound so Hitler-esque, poisoning the blood could mean you're letting so many folks in the country that our traditional values are going to be lost because folks are bringing in their own customs with them. If you let an unlimited amount of folks come in the country, before you know it, you may have difficulty finding people that can even speak English in certain neighborhoods. Someone suggests that happens already. So just want to bring that up. Yeah, most MFs don't listen to others' ideas just because one side or the other. I'm a left-leaning centrist. Listen to everyone else. You ain't gonna be able to make wise decisions. Fair enough. Fair enough. Looking in the comments. I don't know what's going on with the box. Today we're having a bit of a difficulty with that. I've been trying to bring up lots of guests, and the box just does not seem to work. Our country does not take care of the people that are citizens now. And there's no love to do that in the comments, Maria. There's nobody, particularly on the right, that's referred to as socialism. Free shit. Don't care if you're completely a national-born American citizen. Taking care of Americans, you're going to face all sorts of resistance from folks on the right. Coach Briggs, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, man? It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too. I seen you were holding, so I'll give you the floor.
Well, yeah, I'm just wondering, my question is, do we really want to solve the border issue? I don't think that it will be there is no absolute. And as a country, we already have enough trouble with compromise now. So at what point do you think any group or any a group of people gonna get together and get their heads together to solve anything? Because you have to compromise.
Well, if Trump gets reelected, whether you favor or not, I do believe that he would. First of all, he has already promised the largest deportation in history. So diverting let's say, for instance, the Ukraine, the money that's going to the Ukraine, which a lot of us on the left favor, a lot of traditional Republicans favor. Imagine if he took that money from the Ukraine and handed it out to get more law enforcement to go in these cities, round up folks, give them real quick asylum cases and send them out. I mean, some of these folks probably got court dates that are 5-6 months out. All of a sudden, he's diverted money to this deliberate cause of deporting everybody. You got far more judges, far more law enforcement, far more ICE, whose job it is to go around and grab these folks, give them an on-the-spot asylum hearing, and get rid of them. So I do believe under Trump, the border issue would be addressed rather ruthlessly. I do believe the number of immigrants in this country would drop significantly if Trump became president. You don't think so?
I do, and I think he had, I won't say total control, but when he was in office, it was not a flood, it was a trickle.
Right.
And I don't believe. Why do we always have to tag what you said? Everything you said worked perfect, and I understand with Trump is great, and I'm a Trump fan. But my thing is, why does that have to be considered ruthless?
Well, I'll answer that. Because, and I've said this before. Earlier in the show, I said Trump on paper deserved a second term, but his mouth is why I would not favor him, because I don't think a leader should just say anything. Rapists and murderers, varmin, poison in the... That's why people say it's racist, because you might have good intentions, but what's coming out of your mouth sounds like you just hate these people. He's using some horrible language.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But when he says, those are the people that I want to round up, he's not saying anybody good, or whatever, I'm going to do something to them. He's going to get discouraged of the country out. The ones that come in illegally and are bad actors, I don't think anybody should want that in your community.
But Coach, that ain't how he's phrasing it. First of all, you don't talk about good immigrants. When he's referencing immigrants, it's all negative language. It's kind of just like with the LGBT community. Folks on the right say we don't have a problem with the LGBT community. We just don't want to shove down our throat. And then you watch right-wing media, and every story about the LGBT community is negative. This is what Trump is doing on the immigration issue. There's no positive stories. They're all negative. Folks look at him like he hates them.
That's the way. Here's the thing that I just think is hypocritical, and I've actually had some people in my closest neighborhood. We talk about it. You sit there and you. This is a liberal person that I was talking with. She's all for people getting here, getting asylum, and bringing them in and vetting them, and everybody should come in. But then she comes and complains because in the Raleigh area, we just had 2 immigrants carjack and mug an elderly family. So I'm asking her, which is it do you want? You want to welcome everybody, but and then in turn, you're the first person to complain when the people that you welcome do something nefarious.
Well, let me just say this. There's no such thing as a perfect people. Even if you get rid of all the illegal immigrants and only let folks come here legally, some of them are going to commit felonies over time. I mean, what's happening right now is we got literally millions of immigrants, and when one does something bad, it's plastered all over the news. Fact is, most of the illegal immigrants coming to this country, even the illegal ones, not just the asylum claim, but the illegal ones, are not committing any additional crimes outside of coming here illegally. And here's the example I often give. Thank you, Steve White, by the way. Appreciate that subscription. Haven't had one. Thank you, Steve White. Absolutely. Appreciate that. See you in the comments. I'll bring you right up. In regards to the notion that immigrants are committing all these crimes, I mentioned this before on the show. El Paso, Laredo, McAllen, Farmington, all of these border towns. If these immigrants, talking about millions of them coming in through this area, are super violent, rapists and murderers, those border towns, Coach, should be the most violent cities in America. After all, that's where all the violent people are coming through. Yet when you talk about the most violent cities in America, they're nowhere near the border. So
I'm not agreeing, and I'm not co-signing that every immigrant is violent or criminal. I mean,
that ain't what I'm saying, Coach. That ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're talking millions of folks. Trump is saying they're not sending us their best and brightest. They're sending us their rapists and murderers. So he's not assuming these are college grads. He said they're not sending us their best and brightest. They're sending us their rapists and murderers. There should be a hell of a lot of rape and murder in the border towns, and they're not complaining about that.
Well, I was in the conversation when you had this with American Lumberjack. So, I look. If we actually want to do something about the border, it doesn't matter whether it's Trump or Biden. We have to agree to disagree at some point.
Yeah.
There's going to be no perfect solution, but the one thing that I will give Trump credit for is he put it was a limitation. It was not like it is now.
Yeah.
And
I don't disagree.
Now, what's going on now is to the absolute extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say, we're going to lose the country to immigrants. That's not.
But that is, earlier in our conversation, you asked why are folks not favoring Trump trying to get the job done, and what you just stated, lose the country to immigrants. That is why folks, because you said we need to compromise. People are not going to compromise with somebody whose credibility is shot. If you're going to say that they're sending rapists and murderers, but you can't produce the numbers to show that most of these folks are rapists and murderers, they're not going to want to compromise with you. Trump could have just simply said we need to get the border under control. Painting these folks out to be demons is why people are not willing to compromise and work with him, because he's making it out to sound like Freddy Krueger is coming along with Jason across the border. And there's no evidence that most of these folks are rapists and murderers like that.
Yeah, but so let's take the rapists and murder out, and let's say that we continue with the way that the Biden administration have it now.
Okay.
At what point does the strain on the United States resources, at what point does that trump the fact of Trump?
When folks feel like their resources are being strained, like they are in Chicago, folks are starting, thanks to Governor Abbott and Ron DeSantis, that is starting to happen. Because fact is, there is a lot of places in this country, a lot of major cities and certainly small towns that are not having a border trouble. So we hear folks on the left, on the right, talking about, you know, immigrants and flooding the border. There's a lot of places in this country where they're not seeing immigrants lying in the streets and things like that. So it's just like when African Americans complain of racism. There are places like, I don't see any of that. So they don't vote based on it. There's a lot of places in this country that are not having the problem with immigrants like they are in Texas or in Chicago right now.
But they will.
Yeah, maybe in the future, I agree. But right now they're not, so they're not voting on it right now.
Right. So I do have one more question.
Real quick, go ahead.
It's a little bit off topic.
Sure.
But what do you think? Do you think the Republican Party should look past this election and see what they have in the future to bring the party? I don't think MAGA will exist far beyond this cycle. I do, however, think Donald Trump will be elected. But I'm wondering where the Republicans' end game is, 4 years from now. I have an opinion about. I think the Democrats are setting up the Gavin Newsom to take over. I think that's why. Unfortunately, I think that the Democrats want the whole United States to be California. And I don't want that to happen.
Well, it may be, just like the Republicans may want the whole country to be Alabama with their, an embryo is a minor. I mean, I agree. I mean, a lot of Republicans want the country to be like that. So I don't disagree with that.
The end game is as good as the Democrats' end game. I tend to lean conservative. I think the Republicans need to think in advance and not just for today.
Both sides do. All right, I'll answer your question, but I do got to move it on. You know how we do on the other side. I appreciate you coming through. Looking in the comments real quick, I thank you folks for tapping the screen. Nearly 1,000 of you still here, 124,000 likes. In regards to Trump, MAGA, and the Republican Party, fact is Trump has to win. Trump absolutely has to win, or the Republican Party is going to really be in shambles for a minute, because Trump has convinced the Republican Party that most Republicans can't be trusted. So if Trump does not win, what is the Republican Party left with? A bunch of swamp creatures? Most folks on the MAGA side of things, other than maybe Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they don't trust any of the Republicans in Washington. So if Trump doesn't win, they're left with a party full of people they don't trust. I don't know how that works. If Trump wins, then he can continue dictating who can and cannot be trusted and help trustworthy figures get elected. But if Trump loses, the Republican Party is in shambles, because there will be a MAGA versus traditional Republican fight for quite a while. That existed to a smaller degree on the liberal side. Bernie Sanders did lose, but there's still somewhat of a battle between the progressives and traditional Democrats. Think Nancy Pelosi versus the Squad, or versus, President Biden versus AOC. They do have some squabbles. It's nowhere near as deeply rooted as MAGA versus the Republicans, though. But yeah, that would be a problem if Trump doesn't win. There's going to be a lot of pieces to pick up in the Republican Party, because they have been convinced, supporters of Trump, that most of the Republicans in office, from Mitch McConnell on down, can't be trusted. They don't trust their own party. So you need Trump to win to fix that by getting other folks in that are trustworthy. Looking in the comments, Outlaw Josie Wales says rhinos are creeping. That's the problem, is that Trump came in the party admitting that he's an outsider. MAGA admits that he's an outsider. Yet he came into the party and convinced Republicans that he's a true Republican, and all of the folks that were currently insiders are rhinos. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, folks. Trump is the rhino. You may favor Trump. Trump may have the best vision for America and European, but Trump is rhino means Republican in name only. Trump does not exhibit traditional Republican values. He is the rhino. But because we favor Trump, we don't favor the other folks. We're labeling them rhinos. But that is backwards. That really is backwards. That would be like Bernie Sanders calling the traditional Democrats outsiders or dinos if there was a term. No, Trump is not a Republican. He's a populist. He runs his own party. That's the rhino, but the term is a demonized term, so they don't want to call Trump the rhino. They call the folks that have been in the party their entire damn lives. They're rhinos. Makes no sense at all. Looking in the comments. And you don't have to be anti-Trump to see that makes no sense. You could be totally in favor of Trump and still realize Trump is the outsider, not Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham or Ted Cruz. They're the insiders. They're the Republicans. Trump is the rhino. Look at it in the comments. America looks stupid with a president who has dementia and can't finish a sentence. Says, I'm not gay. YouTube, the name is I'm Not Gay. Wow. But you're saying America looks stupid with a president who has dementia and can't finish the sentence. I can't disagree with that. If other leaders think our president has dementia, makes sense to me. But I'll tell you this, I'd rather a cop shows up to my home during an emergency that has dementia than one who thinks my home should be left on its own devices. Trump is talking about getting out of NATO. I can guarantee that anyone that wants America to remain in NATO as a superpower and keep their country safe would rather have a leader with dementia and an active surrounding cast from General Milley on down than to have a guy in office that's 100% sane that's saying we're not going to do a damn thing to help you. In fact, we're going to tell Russia they can do whatever the hell they want with you. I think dementia will be a secondary issue at that point. So just want to tell you that. If I'm a small country and the guy who is 100% sane is telling me I'm going to tell Russia to do whatever the hell they want with you, I'd rather have a guy with dementia. At least I can talk to his generals and Joint Chiefs of Staff and be assured I'm being protected. I don't think the dementia would be a big issue in a case like that, but I get your point. Looking in the comments real quick. Trump is a danger to our democracy. There are folks who do believe that. But nevertheless, some polls still show Trump leading President Biden. Nevertheless, folks, you know what this is. I appreciate the 130,000 likes on TikTok. Wow. Thank you. Always a pleasure. You know we run an uncensored program. There is no blocking, banning, or censoring of anyone. I've had an issue with the box today, so I was able to bring up a limited amount of viewers, but you know how we run the program, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. If you enjoy civilized dialogue in that format, follow the program to my TikTokers. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube. Smash that like button on YouTube. This is what we do Monday through Friday. Until then, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'll see you tomorrow. For my YouTubers, thank you. Chocolate chip ice cream sounds really good. DH. So would you Americans want America to fight if Russia invaded the UK? Italy. That is actually the contract of it. That's what's supposed to happen. That if one of those nations, what do my MAGA say? What is it? WWG, where we go one, we go all. That's what NATO's all about. If NATO is invaded, any NATO member country, an invasion of one is equivalent to an invasion of all. So yeah, if Russia invaded France, we're supposed to help them. That is the way it is ran. Otherwise, it's not a genuine partnership. Otherwise, it's just on paper. We need a Bill Clinton in office again. Well, he can't do that. He's already had 2 terms. I'd rather have Trump as president than Biden. I'm not gay. You're not the only one. Other folks feel that way. But Trump continues to have gaffes that I didn't cover and I'm not gay, love the name, by the way. I didn't cover, for instance, the notion that gym shoes, mugshots, and indictments make him desirable to the black community. We didn't really talk about that. The gaffes coming from Trump, who does not have dementia, are just as bad. Trump is not stuttering like Biden, but saying some shit like that where we can hear loud and clear, that ain't helping him. That did not help him this weekend saying it. So understand that. That did not help. Nevertheless, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. See you tomorrow.